Hello, landmines and jellyfish. Welcome back to Knives, I guess. And this one time I was doing karate in the garage, but everyone around me got super pregnant, so I had to stop. But we're going to do our assembly of the Jin Chubbee G10 kit. So if you haven't been here long or you haven't seen this yet, Jin makes knives that you build from kits. They send you all the parts and you build them yourself. This is such a fun little novelty, and it's such a cool thing that these guys have got so many of them out there, because the other kit knives I've seen have either been more expensive than they should be or lower quality than I want to touch, and that's saying a lot on this channel. But we're going to build the G10 kit. I've also got the other Captain kit to build, and then I can show you all of what they've sent me so far. And I've also got the Vaquero kit that I'm going to build. So we're going to jump in on this one. We've already built this one right here with the D2 blade. So we do know how these things go together, but I want to check out the G10 kit and see how that do. And, you know, so we've got the blue G10 scale as opposed to the D2 right here. And we're going to put this together. Now, something neat, especially with the G10 kit, where this is kind of aimed at, you know, kids, teaching safety, all that good stuff, is this also comes in a black and yellow pattern that it is a bee. It's a bumblebee. You know, it matches up with the aesthetic and the theme. However, when they offered to send these to me to check out, I asked for the clear acrylic because, you know, if you're just getting here, I don't like Ultim. The first time I saw Ultim, the first thing I wanted was some clear translucent stuff, the acrylic like they got here. So we have got our scales, we have got our blade, we have got our bag of bits and pieces, we got pivot lube right here, enough to go around for a while. We have got our liners. We have got our T6 and T8. We got our bag of small bits and pieces. And they gave us some microfiber, so here's a nice little snack. Now, the one problem, and Jen, if you guys are seeing this, please, 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 do a better job with your pivot lube, because I'm not the first person to have the pivot lube leak inside the bag, and I'm probably not going to be the last. And this is it's frustrating, but, you know, this is kind of where, you know, they got to keep their costs under control. But yeah, something to stop this from leaking, or just a better bottle would be great all around, because this is the first one I've had that leaked, but I'm not the first person to have these leak on them. But yeah, and so Jen's an awesome company. When they you know, when I reached out to them about the Captain kit, when they just had that up on the website or on Amazon, you know, they were more than happy to send it to me to check out when it was a much smaller channel. Like, they are definitely supporting creators, and they are happy to support smaller creators, which is very, very cool of them. You know, that right there earns a lot of respect from them. But they also listen. They listen. You know, they've taken our feedback, they've listened to it, and, you know, it's a fantastic thing to have a company do that. You know, it's like they're worth the support. They're worth the backing. You know, I am definitely on Team Jin. And, you know, their point of contact stays in contact with me. I mean, you know, they did the, you know, this was the first thing they had. And it only came in the Captain America scales here, or the Evel Knievel. And they listened. Everybody's like, yeah, this is cool, but a lot more people want some plain scales in black, or, you know, something like that. So now they have that. And they have this in the blue acrylic, which I'm going to show you on the next build video. So now that I've gotten this stuff cleaned off enough to make me happy, we're going to go ahead and get into building this thing. And we're going to take these scales off. And I'm going to kind of try to breeze through it, because I already have an assembly video of one of these put up. But, you know, I kind of want to show y'all how these things go together if you haven't seen any of those videos. So we got our instructions right here. And, you know, we're going to kick around. See, that's what the one of the G10 kits looks like. That is a G10 kit right there. This should be with a steel blade too, because if they had this with a steel blade, I would have gotten one of those. But, you know, you got your parts list and all that. So step one, take this part right here and make sure your liner is facing inside. I need to get my parts out. And when you're pouring these parts out, make sure you keep track of them. But first things first, we're going to take our barrel spacers, and they go on the back right here and right here. So barrel spacer clicked in, and you got to just make sure that this is facing upwards along with the barrel pins, or the barrel spacers. That's how they belongs together. And get one of the tiniest screws in human history. And when I say tiny, I'm not kidding. Okay, this is a lot easier than it was last time. So you stick your screw through and then thread your barrel spacer down on top of the screw. And then get your T6 and tighten it from that side. That is so much easier than how I did it last time. Okay, another tiniest screw in human history. Right here. Where's my next barrel spacer? Right here. Yeah, so that is the easiest way to do that. Start your threads with the barrels. Yeah, so you just press the screw in, threads come through, and you start your barrel spacer on the other side, and then come in and tighten it up. It's like the last time I did this, my hands were shaking so bad that it was very, very hard to keep everything under control. So that just sped that up a whole lot. I like figuring that out. Okay, so you can see here, your back spacer goes on here like this, and the G10 back spacer, that does look cool. I will say that right now. That looks really cool. Step 2, we're gonna put the scale on with the scale screws, and this. Let's see. No, so you can use the screws right here as a guide to make sure that you're getting the right scale on. And we're gonna put the round top screws in there. Get the ones with the round tops for this. And your green one is your T6. So that's the one you're going to use for almost the entire build. There we are. And that can fall out, like that's not a big deal. That doesn't have to go on until we get a little further into the process. I wish my eyesight was what it used to be. It wasn't perfect, but it was still decent. Okay, so our next step is we're going to put our bearing. Oh, I didn't put the pivot in. See, like this is kind of one of those things, like I've already assembled one and I still missed a step. So this is where you really got to read the instructions. Like I'm skimming through it right now, but you put your pivot through there too. And your pivot, there is a flat spot on the pivot that corresponds to a flat spot in here. So you got to line those up, pop her through. Now I can put the scale on. And something I did do, I sent an email because I had an idea, and I think it's a good idea. You know, with the G10 kits, maybe they can do translucent acrylic for the scales, kind of like the G10, but a little bit of a lightsaber effect, something like that going on. So our next thing is going to be putting the stop pin in, which goes right here. And your stop pin is what keeps the blade from swinging all the way open and going too far. Don't lose your stop pin. It's a heart attack in a bag. But now we're going to put a bearing, and you got... Where'd you go? There we are. So one side is... Focus. One side is flat, and the other side is it's not flat. It's what retains the bearings. But this goes in flat side down, and then you put one of your 2 washers on here. And it wants just the tiniest drop of pivot lube on here. And with this pivot lube, less is more. Like the smallest drop you can possibly get on here will take you way farther than you want to go. So we got a little bit of pivot lube on there. And we'll swing over to the next step. So we can put this back on here now. And there we are. So now we can put the blade down on top of this. Yeah, man. There we are. And again, I can show you how these liner locks actually work. So you got your liner right here. You press that down, it swings shut, and the pivot pin stops it at the full close position. Your detent holds it in place, and then you swing it open, and it hits the lock right there, and you're good to go. So you're going to want to leave this thing closed and press down on it. And the next thing we do is we place a bearing down, and then we put our bearing on top of the washer, and then another drop of pivot lube. And again, less is more. Like the tiniest drop you can possibly get on here will get you where you need to be. So our next stop is going to be this liner right here. Come on, do my bidding. So there we are, it clicked into place. And then we'll take a very tiny screw, very tiny. Set her down in here. So now you got something holding this together nicely. Yeah, these guys are very tiny. Okay, so next up, we're going to put our pivot screw in. Now this is what keeps your pivot locked in, and this is the only time you're going to use the orange T8, is on the pivot screw. And that's just like most pocket knives you can buy, is the pivot screw will be the only T8 that you use. So while you're here, before you close this thing up, just check and make sure that this thing opens and closes smoothly. And with the G10 blade, it doesn't weigh as much as the steel blade, so there's a little bit of wrist flick in there. But that is good to go. So next thing is we put this scale on. Get your next round top screw. Let's get our T6 driver and put this thing where it lives. You live there now. And the pocket clip, and if you didn't see the last video, take your screws and drop them in to the pocket clip first. This makes your next step a million times easier. Because then these things are lined up for you already, and it's a lot easier to get them through this part of the pocket clip here than it does when you're pressing down on the scale where the pocket clip lives. And that's it. So congratulations, you built your own knife. And so your flipper tab right here is antenna. These are wings, and this little skull cracker right here, it's definitely not a window breaker in G10, is your stinger. So very cute kit, very good idea. And again, like if you want to kind of picture the best effect, it's definitely going to be this kit right here. And you know, Emma said the parts can be interchangeable, but they're not intended to be interchangeable. So you know, like buying the G10 kit with the B and swapping it over to the D2 kit may or may not work for you. That is one thing of note, and she made it a point of telling me that on the emails, so I'm passing that along to you. But yeah, so this is assembled. We got our we got our pocket clip, which first things first and most importantly is tip up, which is the Lord's carry. We got our flipper tab, so let's flick the B. And yeah, I mean, the G10 kit, this is great for kids. This is great for a fidget toy. And from what I've been told, these things pop tape more than well enough to be worth, keeping around for just box opening tasks. But of course, it's G10, so you're not going to do a lot of heavy cutting with it or anything like that. But yeah, that is our Jin Chubbee kit. And this is the steel version in D2. And they both are nice little trinkets. Like I've called this thing a toy with an edge, which is, it sounds a little bit more hostile than it actually is. It's cool to carry and fidget with. It opens boxes great, but again, for heavy hardcore cuts, not your best option. But for day-to-day light use and a small quiet carry, it's great. And like I said, this would be something I would definitely buy for my kids and get them through assembling it and let them just have something with a G10 blade to teach safety and all that. But yeah, so this is the Jin Chubbee kit. This is both versions of it. And, I enjoy putting them together. They're a lot of fun. So, and Jin's an awesome company. They support small creators. They've been supporting me through all this. They've sent me an example of everything they make. I can't tell you how grateful I am. Let's take a second to thank them in the comments for making this possible. And all that being said, thanks for looking at my crap. Subscribers, you guys are awesome. Y'all keep coming in. I appreciate you so much. You got no idea. I've got 4 knives to give away at 2K, so if you haven't subbed, please do win yourself a knife. And I've also got a members-only giveaway coming up soon, too. So join the channel, grab your membership, and try to win that bad boy. And comments, I love some feedback. Let me know what you think about these guys. I know some of y'all have them, so let everybody else watching know what you think of yours. And all that being said, y'all have a nice day.